Hey everyone, on today's episode of Halloween Creepy Critters, we're going to be talking a little bit about animals and how they're kind of portrayed in Hollywood horror movies. And with me today is this guy. We are borrowing him for the purpose of this video. He is a male green anaconda. And sorry, there's flies right now. And yeah, every time it gets really cold here, flies always come inside because it's nice and warm in the house. So sorry if you see me batting a little bit. I'll do my best to try to ignore them. So this guy, male green anaconda. So when I talk about portraying in Hollywood when it comes to animals and horror movies and things like that, it's pretty obvious what the first one is, and that is this guy right here. So, the movie Anaconda, probably the most, rewatched movie of all time, has a crazy all-star cast, but a lot of the things they show about anacondas in that movie aren't exactly true. They don't grow to over 40 feet long. They don't just go about willy-nilly eating every single Hollywood star and starlet in South America. There's a lot of really bad misconceptions, and unfortunately what that leads to is kind of what happened with the movie Jaws in the 1970s, where everyone kind of knew about sharks, but they never really considered them much of like a threat at that point. And everyone, knows about snakes and even anacondas, but they didn't really think too much about it until it's kind of shown in this kind of crazy, exacerbated way, and then all of a sudden, it's absolutely scary. And in the case of Jaws, what happened was, after the movie Jaws came out, it kind of changed the way people looked at sharks for decades, and so, that's when kind of the crazy mass sport hunting of sharks happened, and yes, there was already a lot of fishing happening because of, like, shark fin soup and bycatch because of dragnets and stuff, but sport hunting of sharks became a huge thing where populations around the world really started to become decimated. And so when you have a movie like Anaconda come out, where all of a sudden the spotlight is shined in a negative and, in all honesty, a exaggerated way, you have a lot of bad feelings about anacondas. So, for this guy, he's a male. He was a wild-caught import, we're pretty sure. He wasn't exactly sure. He has been in captivity for a long time. He's about 3 years old. And anacondas are sexually dimorphic. And so what that means is that there's differences in appearance between males and females. Females, if you ever go to a zoo or a reptile store or something like that, you see the giant green anaconda that's usually hanging out in water. Those are the females. The females, sorry, he is really heavy, you guys. Anacondas are incredibly heavy-bodied boids, even for a little one like this. And he's probably only about 6, maybe 5.5 to 6.5 feet long. So he's not even that long, but he is very heavy body, you guys. This is pretty hard carrying it on the left arm, and that's even the more dominant hand that I've had since I broke my wrist, but I'm trying to exercise it a little bit more. But, and that is because with most boids, almost all except for I think 2 in the world, are live bearers. They either give birth to live young or they develop the eggs inside of them, and then the eggs hatch inside and then they're delivered right afterwards. And because of that, the females' bodies need to be a lot larger to be able to accommodate that, because as a very large, mature adult female anaconda can have a lot of babies, and they all pop out pretty big. Males don't need to be that size, and so they are usually a lot smaller. That being said, even an adult male green anaconda is a fairly substantial animal, 7 to 9 feet long usually, and still very heavy-bodied. Anacondas are really cool, but in all honesty, they're one of the few snakes that I can't get a good read on. So as you end up working with animals, in whatever facet it is, horses, dogs, and in my case, snakes and lizards and things, you kind of end up getting a bit of a read on animals based on, the individual species and kind of their regular attributes and characteristics, as well as individual animals. Anacondas, I can never get a true read on. I never know exactly what they're thinking, and it's actually really cool. But I don't want to make this just about anacondas, but although that's obviously the very first... Oh, he's in shed. Oh, okay. All right, that's interesting. But, there are other ones in there too. So, another one is, Lake Placid, and another movie that just came out a little while ago. I can't quite remember. I think it's called The Crawl or something like that. That has to do with like alligators and things like that, which, like anacondas, they make a very easy movie villain because, number one, they're reptiles. Number two, we don't know much about them. Number three, they can get to a very large size even without the extra crazy Hollywood-themed add-on and or Betty White feeding them mutated cows or whatever it was. But alligators are actually a very crazy, amazing species. They're apex predators, very misunderstood, but they're keystones in a lot of, natural ecosystems, just like a lot of other apex predators. For instance, this guy too. Although in their natural habitat, these guys compete with a lot of other animals: caiman, giant river otters, piranha, river dolphins, and other things like that. But it's just another reptile that, unfortunately, because they're so misunderstood, and because they make easy bad guys, because they're not mammals, they're not cute and cuddly. Although if anyone's ever heard of baby alligator, I defy you to say that that is not cute. But the big reason why I keep kind of bringing back about the Hollywood, exaggeration about them, is that what happens when people see that, it vilifies them, for kind of forever. It's really hard to get people over that when they see a really good depiction of someone, struggling against something big, bad, scaly, and scary. And so what that leads is a lot of kind of animosity, and then, like I said, in the case of Jaws, sport hunting and stuff like that. And so a lot of places where now alligators are no longer threatened or endangered, there's a lot more sport hunting and things like that, which that's a whole subject that I'm not going to get into. And there's, gray areas and lines that are good and are bad or whatever that is. But it's just something that, if it's something natural that exists and is a beautiful, important part of the world, then maybe we shouldn't, just immediately go, no, those are bad, we shouldn't like those at all. And that comes with whatever it is. Snakes like this guy here, the green anaconda, alligators, crocodiles, wolves, bears, mountain lions. I'm just going to keep listing off stuff that's, in the Americas, because that's where I am. But, just something to kind of keep in mind. Hollywood's portrayals of things like that, and even things like, piranha, where there are these crazy flesh-eating fish, and, all these other crazy things. Like there was one called the bees, where bees got hyper-intelligent and took over the planet. But, it's just, we need to learn as human beings to really appreciate animals in their way. Sorry I got preachy here at the end. But, it's just really important, when it comes to beautiful animals like this guy. He is absolutely amazing. And as you can see, remember how I said that I can't get a good read on them? I can still see, just with my basic knowledge, those long, slow tongue flicks. They're not rapid, they're not short, it's not just barely sticking out there. I'm not going to do a whole lot of wavy crazing with this hand because it's something warm. He does track that. Although this guy supposedly has never eaten a mammal. He only eats birds, which is a giant pain in the butt to be feeding, and I totally understand that. But anyway, we just need to learn to love and really appreciate beautiful animals such as this, green anaconda male. And hopefully you guys can think that's something really cool down the line, and you can kind of start to rethink maybe your opinion about certain things, or just to appreciate things more just as they come by in beautiful parts of the world. Sorry I got really preachy there again, you guys. I have a hard time not getting up on a soapbox, as you know. But hopefully you enjoyed this little thing, and at the very least, seeing a really cool snake like this guy right here. Stay tuned for more Halloween animal critter videos. If you're interested in merch, jzreptiles@gmail.com. Hit me up, Instagram, Facebook, anything like that. Hope you have a safe, happy Halloween, and we'll check you next time.